Coming up on the Long Island Business Report, the economic outlook for Nassau County this year and looking forward.
Now we're finding that we're going to be either close to balance or maybe even have a little left over.
A surplus?
A small surplus, believe it or not.
What needs to be done to balance the budget and ensure a stable financial future?
We need to become competitive with other states for us to attract industry here, to keep companies here, to expand the companies here. I think that's first and foremost.
It's all straight ahead on this edition of the Long Island Business Report.
Funding for this program has been made possible by Charlotte and David Eckert and the Roush Foundation. And now, from Molloy College at the Madison Theater, here's Jim Paymar with the Long Island Business Report.
Hello, and thanks for joining us. I'm Jim Paymar with the Long Island Business Report. Nassau County is one of the richest counties in America, yet we face great financial challenges. And on top of that, losses from Hurricane Sandy may rise to over $1 billion for the county. What is the financial outlook for Nassau in 2013, and what measures can be taken to balance the county's budget and make Nassau a more affordable and attractive place to live? Nassau County Comptroller George Maragos joins us now to talk about this and many other issues that affect us here on the island in terms of how we live and our cost of living. George, thanks for being with us.
Jim, thank you for having me.
You know, the last thing that Nassau County needed was Superstorm Sandy. It devastated regions very, very badly, especially on the South Shore. How is this impacting Nassau County financially?
It has impacted us, but we're in the process of recovering, Jim. We estimated that we would lose approximately $1 billion in, as you've indicated, in economic activity, and the county would lose approximately $10 to $15 million in sales tax revenue. But now we're seeing a very robust recovery, and we are projecting that by the first quarter of this year, we would have recovered that lost economic activity and lost sales tax revenues.
And there's funding coming in, right, from the federal government?
Absolutely. Over $250 million has already come in to help our residents and the county recover and repair the damage. We've also submitted a request to the federal government through the state for an additional $6.2 billion that we hope that will be arriving soon, so we can help our residents, we can help our small businesses, and we can improve our infrastructure so that we're more resilient next time.
So perhaps there's a little bit of a silver lining in all of this, that the funding that will come in, people are going back to work, the construction trades, we're going to harden some of our transportation infrastructure.
Oh, absolutely. And that's why we need the $6.2 billion or the $39 million or $30 million that Governor Cuomo has requested, so we can rebuild much better and much more resilient than we were before. And of course, that requires a lot of materials to be purchased. A lot of our trade people are back at work, construction workers, electricians, plumbers. They're almost all of them fully employed. It's very difficult to find an electrician or a plumber these days.
So that's got to help the coffers of Nassau County.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the increased economic activity that we anticipate, and we should be able to come out better than we would have otherwise been.
Okay, you've had a relatively tough time while you've been comptroller with managing the budget here. We ran a surplus in 2010 of about $40 million, and then we ran a deficit in 2011 of about $50 million. And I think we were projected to have a deficit for 2012, and somehow we've turned that around. Can you explain it?
Sure. We took, part of my job is to project so that I can put the policy makers on notice that we are likely to run a deficit, so they can take proactive steps early enough so that we can avoid those deficits. And that's what we did at mid-year. We told them, look, at the rate you're spending and at the rate the revenues are coming in, you're likely to have a $50 million deficit. You cannot afford that. Our reserves are low as they are. So please take the steps necessary, cut spending, do whatever you have to do to end the year in balance. And that's what they've done. And now we're finding that, we're going to be either close to balance or maybe even have a little left over.
A surplus?
A small surplus, believe it or not. It's doable, it's achievable.
That sounds good, George, but why then are we still under the auspices of NYFA, the Nassau Interim Finance Authority, which basically, controls what we do here?
Politics is a terrible thing. It's a disease that we all live with. Jim, if you go back in 2011, when we submitted at the beginning of the year that the legislature adopted a balanced budget. Mm-hmm. And a budget is nothing more than reasonably anticipating revenues and expenses.
Right.
And when NYFA declared a control period, they came in February, March, and declared that we were likely to have a 1% or more deficit. And under their statute, they could declare, and they did declare, a control period, which means they inserted themselves as part of the county administrative process to approve contracts, to impose a wage freeze, and to allow or disallow borrowing. And that's what they did. So they did some things that were positive that helped the county, such as the wage freeze, and they've done some other things, such as not allowing borrowing that caused the deficit in 2011, which was budgeted for. Mm-hmm. But since then, we've taken almost draconian steps in order to rein in the borrowing. Now we're no longer borrowing for recurring revenues. We reduced the structural deficit from $250 million that it was in 2009, and that's the difference. Structural gap is the difference between recurring revenues and recurring expenses. And ideally, you want government to live within its means. The two should be even. So we've reduced that now from $250 million down to $40 million, a vast improvement.
So NYFA, does it stay with us forever? And is it a good thing to have this authority kind of regulating what we do here?
I think it's turning out to possibly be a good thing in terms of the wage freeze, because one of the biggest issues, not the biggest, but a large issue that we have to contend is all these legacy labor agreements that we've had. Mm-hmm. And state law being what it is, and the Triborough Amendment, you cannot break agreements, you cannot renegotiate them. And these were very onerous agreements that were negotiated with the prior administration with 3.5% increases every year for 5 years, no layoff clauses, 100% payment by the county of health insurance benefits, 100% payment of pension contributions, and the like. Mm-hmm. And those were very onerous in a weak economy.
Aren't they concerned a little bit about the low reserves that Nassau County has, that it could tip back into deficit?
Yes, actually the first year we had $80 million in reserve. Actually, when we took over the administration, the reserve stood at about $60 million. Mm-hmm. We had a surplus the first year, and the reserves rose to over $90 million. Mm-hmm. Because of the deficit that we experienced in 2011, those are now down to $40 million. By policy, we should have at least $80 million. So yes, we have, and that's something that we have recommended successively to the administration and to the legislature to budget to increase the county reserves.
I see. Pensions, you've spoken out very loudly about this, that they are a critical concern. In fact, Nassau County pensions are going to be somewhere around $210 million in 2014. That's up from $184 million this year and up from $96 million in 2010. And I think you were on record as saying that this is going to cause municipalities all across New York to go broke.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the state controller has also indicated that most of the counties across the state are in fiscal dire. Mm-hmm. Of course, he did not single out the pension costs, but they are the major contributing factor to that to to the fiscal conditions that a lot of the counties find themselves in. And again, as you pointed out, 3 years ago, it was under, in Nassau County, $96 million. In 5 years, they would be over $200 million, 100% increase within a 5-year period. No administration that I know can sustain those types of rising costs and still remain fiscally viable. The only alternative very often is to turn to the taxpayer and ask him to pay more.
Yeah, well.
We've decided not to do that because we understand that our taxpayers here in Nassau County cannot afford to pay more. We may be one of the richest counties, but we're also one of the highest tax counties in the state, if not the country. And we need to change that perception and that reality.
So what do you do about this pension situation? It's not going away. The pension costs are just going to rise. They're going to have to be paid somehow, or they're going to have to be capped. So how do you deal with this?
Well, unfortunately, that's beyond our control. All municipal employees are part of the state pension system that is under the control and management of the state controller. And because the stock market went down significantly in 2008, and most of the pension fund investments are in stocks, the fund took a big hit, and the counties are responsible, therefore, to contribute more now in order to fully restore that fund to full funding.
Okay, that was 2007, 2008. The market crashed. We're back up to over 13,000. We're not that far from where we were at the top back in 2008. So that doesn't make any sense to me.
We're almost in, at full funding level, but we're not quite there, and therefore the need to continue the double-digit increases, the 20-25% increases that the state controller is demanding from the local municipalities. We have no say, unfortunately. But what we've been advocating to the state controller and to the governor is that we have to change the defined benefit system to possibly something closer to a 401k, so that the taxpayer is not always on the hook for any mismanagement or poor management or poor returns on state pension fund investments.
So you've been in office now for about 3 years, and the government in Nassau County has streamlined quite a bit. Has it streamlined enough? Have we taken out enough of the fat? Have we gotten rid of some of the fraudulent things that were happening in Nassau County? Are we cleaning up our act?
Absolutely, Jim, and that's how we've been able to survive without turning to the taxpayer for more money. We've canceled over $300 million in contracts that were either unnecessary or wasteful. Unfortunately, we had to let go about 800 employees. We are at the lowest number of employees in the history of the county. We've had to consolidate police precincts, but we did not sacrifice public safety. We put those people on the street and we reduced the overtime costs. We also privatized the bus service, Long Island Bus, and saved about $26 million. And what we've seen is that we're able to provide our residents with more service, better service at a lower cost. And we will continue to do so. Our county executive has also indicated a preference to privatize our sewer systems and find more efficient operators. That would also help in controlling costs and rates going down the road. NYFA is opposing it. I hope that they come together and come to some agreement because public-private partnerships are happening more and more in more municipalities, and it seems to be the wave of the future.
So having an outside entity taking over our sewer systems, that would be a good thing if this was privatized?
A number of other municipalities have done it, and they've saved money. They've improved the environmental standards. and the rates in most cases have remained below municipal run facilities.
You know, George, and you're a taxpayer here too. You know how expensive Nassau County is, and you know it's crippling for a lot of people, and it's hurting us in terms of bringing business into the county. Can we lower them? Is it possible that we can start to reduce the tax load, because we're having a difficult time attracting new business to Nassau County as a result of the expense that it costs to do business here?
Jim, we have to. And again, let's put things in perspective. Approximately 70% of property taxes go towards supporting our schools. We can no longer afford to have 56 school districts with 56 administrations. We need to have some consolidations and some rationalization of our educational facilities. Unfortunately, that education is a state issue. It's not a local issue, but yet it absorbs 70%, the majority of our property tax dollars. We're in the process of wrapping up an economic study as to why our young people are leaving Nassau County. We are seeing an exodus of young people. And it's not the lack of opportunity here. Our unemployment rate is 7.2%, below the national average, below the state average. So we have opportunities. But it's the high cost of living. And what we're finding is that the cost of living here in Nassau County is about 50% higher than it is in some other states and localities that our young people are moving to,
right,
and industry is moving to. And the reason for the high cost of living is primarily two factors: the cost of housing and the high taxes. Mm-hmm. So we need to address both those issues so that we can continue to have our young people here, we can continue to attract industry to have opportunities.
Did you say 56 school districts?
Yes, in Nassau County alone.
So how would you possibly get 56 school districts to agree on anything, let alone closing some of them down?
Well, we need leadership
merging
at the state level. We need our governor, and I know he's wrestling with the issue, the rising cost of education in the state, and I would hope that there would be some bold initiatives.
But people would be up in arms if you started to mess around with their school districts. That's why people move to certain communities. I mean,
I'm not sure that would be the case. No? I think we pride ourselves here in Nassau County that we have some of the best schools in the country.
And some of the worst.
And some of the worst. And we have to continue to provide for our schools, to continue to have the best schools, and certainly bring up the lower performing schools. Mm-hmm. But we cannot afford to continue to spend more and more. And there's something wrong with the picture, where you have New York City, which is next door, and they have 8 million people, and they have one school administration. Right. And we have 1.3 million people, and we have 56 school administrations. I think we can do better. We don't have to go to one, but I think we can certainly do with less than 56.
What about the living wage issue? This is something that you've also discussed. It's going up, and it's not going up for everyone, but it's going up for a lot of people. And is that going to have a significant downside for Nassau County?
I don't believe so. Within the county, we already have laws and ordinances that guarantee now a living wage, which is actually much higher than the minimum wage. Mm-hmm. It's over $13 and soon to be $14. Right. For all vendors and contractors that do business with the county and all agencies of the county. The Controller's Office, we have a very active living wage panel, jointly chaired with some of our labor groups to ensure that our vendors and various agencies are abiding and are providing a living wage to our local residents.
So you don't think that this is going to be that detrimental in terms of the raising the cost of living?
Not at all. And what we're finding, because of the high cost of living, I think people need it.
How do we create a better economic environment in Nassau County? You've had a chance to strip away this entire budget and see what's in there, and what do we do? I mean, if you could name three things, what could we do to make this a more attractive region?
We need to make ourselves more competitive. And obviously that goes to the heart. If we're competitive, we certainly have the talent. We have the schools, we have the intellectual property, we're close to New York City, so we have a lot of advantages, but we're finding that we're not competitive. We need to become competitive with other states for us to attract industry here, to keep companies here, to expand the companies here. I think that's first and foremost. And we have to provide housing to make our county competitive. We have to do something about our taxes. And we have to provide incentives to companies, certainly for people to build here and for companies to be attracted here. Other states provide incentives to help counties and to help industry relocate. And that's all part of becoming more competitive. We're not the only game in town. We have to realize that, and we have to become competitive, both cost-wise and in terms of providing incentives.
And the bigger question is, those are great ideas. Everyone agrees on them. Can we accomplish any of those?
Absolutely, and this is where leadership. First of all, it's always the case. Identify what the problem is.
Right.
And then develop a strategy to overcome those obstacles. And thirdly, execute.
Okay.
And that's where leadership comes in. And I think our county executive has taken bold steps in that direction. The IDA that we have, the Industrial Development Agency, has been very aggressive in providing incentives for companies to relocate. Our county executive has been reaching out and entering into private public partnerships such as Long Island Bus, and we will continue to do so. We will play the game to attract and bring industry to Nassau County.
And what kind of industry are we talking about? Because, manufacturing has kind of seen its day in many aspects. Are we talking about high technology? Are we talking about energy technology? What kind of industries are we talking about?
Yes, we would be looking at high technology, biofuels, medical, research and pharmaceuticals. Those types of industries.
Okay, and do we have the space? Do we have places to put these industries? Do we have industrial parks where we could, say to a number of companies, hey, look, we've got the space, we've got the infrastructure, we've got the talent, we've got the brains. Let's do it here in Long Island.
Oh, absolutely. We have the space. New York City is doing a better job, and they're more congested than we are, in attracting in industry. We have to adopt that model and do whatever it takes and provide the incentives, provide companies that want to relocate, find the space for them, help them navigate through the various archaic zoning, property zoning rules that we have, and make it as easy for them to set up and do business here.
And what about the multi-jurisdictional situation that we have in Nassau County? We have so many villages, we have towns, we have the county government. Aren't these like overlapping? Don't we have duplicative costs as a result of all of this? Doesn't this need to be streamlined as well?
They're not significant. I think the major portion is coordinating the zoning ordinances so that the various companies can find a location, build quickly, as well as developers find a location, obtain the appropriate zoning variances, and build and provide housing.
And do you think that you are going to get the help from either Washington or Albany to assist Nassau County in going forward?
I believe we will, but we have to take the initiative ourselves. We cannot wait for them. We have to take the initiative ourselves and ask for whatever help we need. in order for us to implement our economic development strategy.
So we got to help ourselves.
Oh, absolutely.
First and
Nobody's going to
foremost.
help us
No.
otherwise.
Okay, okay. George, it's been a pleasure talking with you once again, and really enjoyed your insights and information, and best of luck to you and to Nassau County.
Jim, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. That wraps up our conversation on Nassau County finances. Thank you once again, George Amerigos, for being with us here at the Madison Theater at Molloy College. For more on the Long Island Business Report, log on to our website. You can also find us on Facebook and join the conversation on Twitter. I'm Jim Paymar. Thank you for joining us for this edition of the Long Island Business Report, and we'll see you next time.
Funding for this program was made possible by Charlotte and David Eckert and the Roush Foundation.